Yo, what's good, everybody? Bren here. Hope everybody's having an amazing Saturday. Usually I stream on Fridays, but I'm doing some traveling. Um, so thought I'd run it on Saturday today. And it ended up being a good day to do it with what went down overnight. Obviously, everything going on with Iran. First off, obviously, anybody who is affected themselves living in Israel, Iran, any of these places, I hope everybody's safe, hope everybody's family's safe. It's a crazy time. I think we're blessed to come here and be able to come on these streams and talk about the stuff in regards to the markets, but these things obviously affect people in a real way. So if it at all is affecting you, either directly or indirectly, I hope everybody's safe. So today, we are going to talk about Bitcoin and why over the last few days and really today, um, here, hold on, give me 1 second here. Um, 1 second here, guys. All right, I apologize, guys. Um, but like I said, hope everybody is safe. Bitcoin, though, we're going to talk about today why I think for the first time in since this correction has kind of started, why it's kind of becoming obvious that I think this is a lot more likely a bullish kind of bottom, a local bottom, chart wise, and then obviously the war coming up. We'll go ahead and talk about that. For the last few weeks, I've kind of been playing it by year. I'm not playing it by year, but kind of just letting this thing play out. To me, back when we were about like right here, the corrective structure wasn't very clear yet. Usually, when that happens, that means that there's some, the structure just hasn't fully played out yet. And as you can see, continue to chop around. So instead of getting caught up in this chop, just letting these things play out. And now to me, it's becoming more of an obvious bullish setup, which we will go and talk about. We're going to go ahead and talk about and review some of the stuff that's happened over the last few days, some of the videos that I've been looking at that maybe you haven't caught. We're going to go over some charts across memes, alts, compare why what's happened in other conflicts compared to this one, and potentially what could tell us about the next few months. But before we go ahead and get started, if you guys could please, two things, let me know in the chat where you're tuning in from, and then two, if this is your first time in the stream, or if you're returning. I see Rojam, Andre, Juicy, a few others. Hope everybody's having a great day. Usually when I do these streams, I'll have my mic, but like I said, I'm traveling, so don't have my big mic with me. The audio might be a little bit worse, but appreciate you for bearing with me. Bitcoin, though, like I said, here, let this thing load. Like I said, up until this point, it's when we started this corrective structure here on about February 5th. To me, I was just letting this thing play out. I did take a few longs and shorts off certain areas, but as far as calling, kind of a longer term move, it didn't become obvious until the last few days. Now that Bitcoin's kind of been chopping down and made multiple lower lows and lower highs to form what I like to call a corrective channel like structure. Some people like to call them flags. But when these corrective channel like structures are paired with a strong multi week low, like when this corrective structures, I'm sorry, these corrective channels or flags are essentially chopping into a multi week low, like we're seeing now, this usually ends up being a very strong reversal pattern. It's essentially a double bottom, like people like to call them. But the main point is that the second leg of the double bottom is very slow and corrective. Corrective behavior can essentially a lot of times tell us that price, even though it's going down, is actually slowing up and is very likely buy pressure is about to take over. So for me, for Bitcoin, short term, I think it could go either way. It could explode up from here, but I also could see the possibility that we get one more low or a set, a couple more lows into 60K, around that that 3 week low at 60K. If we're able to do that, hold above, I think there's a very good shot that in the next few weeks that we use this structure that we have drawn here that I have in this blue box as a base to move higher. Yes, this is consolidation, but it's not consolidation like we saw up here. Again, it's a very distinct corrective channel into a 3 week low, which again I can show you multiple times here. Just like we saw in April, we got a move up and like a slow, choppy kind of move back into that low and then moved higher. I think we could very likely see something like that. Okay. Now, ETH, I think actually maybe a more obvious or a stronger kind of corrective, or I'm sorry, a bottom pattern even with it just holding it. It's just a straight consolidation. You really can't get any cleaner than that. Obviously, all consolidations don't always equal a reversal. As you can see here, ETH consolidated here back in January when we were looking at it for a couple months and then moved lower. But the fact we're in this tight, choppy structure and the fact that we failed to break this bottom, at least for now, what I'm looking for on ETH, just like Bitcoin, is if we're able to hold this low above 1700 for ETH going into, maybe into midweek or even into the next week, I think that would be even a stronger indication that we potentially could have seen a bottom from here. And does that mean that's the bottom of the cycle? Does that mean the bear market's over? It's always possible, right? Like, I think that's obviously not everybody's base case. It's not really even my base case right now. I think there's a solid shot that we could be in a longer bear and head into 50K one more time. But the way I'm playing it is I'm just going to continuing to DCA with a certain amount of my dry powder that I have on the sidelines. I have enough Bitcoin, or I have a Bitcoin ETH, meme coins, certain stuff that I've accumulated over the last few years. So that if it were to go up from here, my bags are packed. Um, and I do think there is a solid case to be made because of certain things going on that it could happen. But what I'm kind of doing is again just loading up, DCAing, and then playing these structures by ear. For example, ETH, if we are to reverse up from here, the major level to watch to where if we do go above this level, we very likely are at least have seen a local bottom and will produce a pretty sizable bounce is if we get some closes back above this 2100 high. Okay. If that is to happen, my base case from there is that we probably will push back up into the mid to high to maybe even the 3000s and produce a large bounce, right? Even in the bear markets of the past, like the confirmed bear markets like 21 and 2018, there's always large bounces in between. So we could see that. And then, really, the same kind of thing as we were talking about up here, the kind of final line in the sand to where once we cross this level, it kind of proves or makes it very likely that we are back and are going back to all time highs is this 200 moving average, the red 200 moving average. Again, every other time it's kind of acted as that final confirmation that once we close above it, Bitcoin's gone to all time highs essentially every time after that. So what I think is likely to happen here, Bitcoin ETH, is we do have the proper consolidation of multiple weeks that you want to see to form a bottom. And then we are slowing down here at that bottom with obviously the Iran war conflict and everything that's going on there, which we will talk about um, more in depth here in a second. Obviously, if you could see a case where, they take out Khomeini or, some kind of victory for the US and that side that could, be that catalyst or be that kind of push that pushes it up. So really overall, just looking at the charts, apart from anything else, I think this is a very notable kind of consolidation and is what we oftentimes do see before local bottoms. But at the same time, we do have to see how price behaves once it does reach above 2100. I think because this is the third time it is approaching, I think there's a very good shot it breaks it. But of course, just like we saw last week, we have to play it and see how it reacts at each of these ranges, right? Because it could always do this and fuck around for another few weeks, right? So pretty much what I'm doing here over the last few weeks is not overcomplicating it, continuing to buy Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, some of these movement coins, some of these coins that I really believe in, and then just using the perps, the longs and shorts to to speculate on short-term moves, but even then I'm being very picky, right? I wrote about here on the post here earlier that above all else, again, I'm accumulating spot to prepare for this next bullish move and then using, perps with about 5, 10, 15% of my portfolio to catch some of these bigger moves. And obviously these perp plays will be more lucrative if we do catch like the bottom of ETH later on this year or whatever. But it's the key is, and if you're watching this, and it's the same thing with playing these pump fund coins, is you want to set yourself up for success with most of your portfolio in stuff that gives you a shot, like gives you a better shot at success. And that's investing and buying and holding Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, some of these other coins during these big corrections. And then just using 5, 10, 15, maybe 20% of your portfolio to play with the smaller meme coins or perps. Don't overdo it. Don't think you have to chase it, especially during this time. So easy to get chopped up by perps. Even myself, I've been profiting pretty well, but it's pretty annoying. Like I'll be in a short here and then, I have pretty good entries. So I'm able to get out and profit still. But during these times of chop, it's very easy to lose money. So really that's what I would focus on if you're just still here is just DCAing and learning. There will be a time here soon. And obviously there's plays like Grockius, which we hit in the channel, meme coin plays that'll come around every few weeks. But until it's clear that everything is super back and everything's popping off, being very picky will do you very well. I can't tell you how many people I know who make hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, tens of thousands, whatever it is, during the bull periods where everything's doing well, and then they give it all back or most of it back, or even more back, more than they had originally back during these times of choppy periods. So, um, but yeah, hope everybody's doing well. You said miss the spaces. Yeah, appreciate you for being here. What's up, Pascal? Let me go ahead and retweet the stream really quickly here too, as well. Um, um, but yeah, let's go ahead and, like I said, Bitcoin, ETH, Sol. We do have to really watch it play out, but I do think there's a good chance that we may have seen the bottoms here, at least a local bottom for Bitcoin, ETH, and Sol. But we can't really call it until we finally cleared above this consolidation high at 2100. Oh, got to clear above this consolidation high at 2100. And from there, I think we're off to the races into the 25, 26, 27, $2,800 levels. Um, but yeah, this war in Iran obviously last today. I woke up with the news with the Trump's press conference. Let me know in the chat when you first heard it. Were you awake? Did you wake up to it? Obviously, saw the video with Trump talking about how they've done a full on military they're doing a full on military campaign in Iran. And then we're seeing bombings and strikes outside here. Let me go to bookmarks. Where's bookmarks? Um, you see bombings like this in Bahrain. Imagine just chilling in your high rise apartment, thinking you're cool, just watching the news, and boom, just hits your building. I mean, I can't even imagine. And you're obviously seeing the one in Dubai. I don't know if you guys saw um, some some missiles getting striked up in the sky up in Dubai, intercepted, which hit a building. There was a lot of misconception around that. A lot of people thought that the building got struck by a missile, but I guess it was just intercepted and hit a building. But either way, a lot of crypto people in Dubai. So super crazy. You're seeing stuff all over. You see rumors that Khamenei is taken out, and then you see rumors he's going to do a speech. Um, a lot of stuff around there. But you go to Poly Market, we see, which it's pretty cool, the update they've done recently. I think this is sick. But you see, just in the last hour, you see Khamenei out as supreme leader by March 31st, gone up to 96%. Um, I'm guessing. Oh wow, 99%. Did they just announce right now that they found him? Let's see. Oops. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's gone up to 97% now. It was just at 17%. Just about what was this? Uh, just about 24 hours ago. So pretty crazy. The one crazy one that I saw was somebody. I think it was on top of here. Prediction markets were totally caught off guard by the Iran strike. Odds of a strike by February 28th were just 7% on Friday. So anybody who would have had the yes literally made almost, what is that, 20x on that. So that'd have been nice. A couple other clips that I thought were crazy. Uh, Iran says it will soon unveil weapons you've never seen before. And a lot of crazy stuff. Again, I haven't had too much time. Like I said, I'm traveling in Texas right now, so I haven't had too much time to listen or read or watch stuff like I usually would on these type of things. But I've been watching some of these stuff with what's his name, Mario has been having a space and having some people on, and there's a lot of differing opinions. Like a lot of people think this is, that the U.S. is essentially trying to slowly destabilize Iran over time, right? And are going to be successful doing it. Some people think, the other side. And as far as when it comes to markets, guys, this one obviously is more severe, has deeper implications. Some people think this is going to spark World War III. Who knows? But time and time again, if what these wars or not even really wars most of the time, these military escalations or these military campaigns, whatever you want to call them, time and time again almost always create some type of local bottom. And that's because almost always human emotion and in humans and headlines, we always anticipate things to be so much worse, sometimes so much better, but in this case, so much worse than they are. And time again, when these things, almost always, people say things never happen or whatever, almost always these things end up in way less of a severe catastrophe than people thought, which oftentimes creates a local bottom. We saw it with time and time again with these different Israel and Palestine conflicts. Some of the stuff with Taiwan and China. So I think that even adds to the case even more to what I was saying here earlier, to where this consolidation, especially since Ethan Bitcoin are slowing down at these bottoms, which as you see every time Bitcoin and ETH slow down at these bottoms and show some type of reversal, usually that's an indication that we're going to get another shot at those highs. So I would not be surprised if they either take out Khamenei or there's some type of positive spin or positive outlook that comes in the news and whatever that could send ETH and Bitcoin at least back to these range highs. And if we do clear above them, very likely could produce that local bottom. So if we were to get that local bottom, really the levels that I'd be watching is again, I think we're kind of in no man's land after we get above this high. So I could again see us moving back into 3,000, the 3,000 area. But until we clear this 200 moving average here, this could always be a kind of a bear market bounce that leads to lower, right? So the plan doesn't change for me either way. If you had to ask me, I think there's really not too many bearish catalysts for crypto, especially after the 1010 stuff is resolved. Jane Street's gone under. But there's just really macro forces at play, right? The stock market right now is in a tight consolidation to where it could very well just rocket to all time highs, but consolidation is something we need to look for, watch here as well. To where, let's say, the stock market rolls over, I could see crypto coming back down one more time. But really, just again, learning to play it by year and not even just play it by year, but play the market that is in front of us right now. And I think the market that is in front of us right now is one where we have a 3 week low consolidation with another shot to the low here on February 28th, which 27th, which is yesterday, and a clear rejection off of there to where if Ethereum somehow gives us one more move down, like something like this, I will definitely be adding to or starting a long position, um, and especially if we hold over here for the coming next few days. So this is not really what we see when if we were to break through this bottom here. The fact that we're chopping here and showing corrective behavior, I think points to the very high likelihood that we do get at least another bounce back to the 2100 level. So yeah, not much has changed for me, and actually that may be a kind of an inverse head and shoulders here as well, with um, this, and then potentially if this shoulder doesn't take out the last low, something like this. So just a technical, just a chart pattern that could add more confluence. But yeah, really the level we want to watch if ETH, between now and the next stream, let's say, which again I stream it usually every Tuesdays and Fridays. Tune in for that. If you guys could, if you're still listening, and if you could like, comment, retweet, share this stream, always appreciated. Next week too, I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit more about it, but I want to talk about it a little bit more on the top of the show. On Tuesday, I will be having my buddy, good friend Poppy on. Obviously, the owner and the owner of Quirkies, one of my favorite people in the space. Such a great guy, such an interesting person to talk to. He actually has a background in the market as well, with charts and a lot of other stuff, as well as, like I said, being the owner of Quirkies, which I think is one of the most interesting and most bullish NFT projects still around. Building some really cool stuff with the IP. So we'll go ahead and talk to him 11 a.m. PST. Um, on Tuesday, like I said. So make sure to turn on post notifications for that. And and yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons to be bullish and think in the short term, and definitely the long term for crypto. It's kind of that medium term, right? The next 3, 6, 9 months that everybody's kind of debating about. And like I said, I think short term, long, like whatever, this structure very well could bring us back above 2100. And once we go over on 2100, anything's possible. Anything's possible. So yeah, I think short term, long term, super bullish on crypto. We got to see if we clear above that 2100 high. S&P 500, like I said, if between the next stream, let's say the war escalates and the S&P 500 slices through the 6800 low, I think that's our sign again that, just like we saw here, once we clear below these kind of necklines of these consolidations, it usually leads to big moves down after that. Same kind of thing here, right? Once we broke below the neckline, almost always leads straight down. So if that were to happen for the S&P 500, that could be what triggers another leg lower for crypto. Um, But yeah, there's stocks like Tesla though and stuff that actually look really bullish to me. So I think there's a case to be made that the stock market might just avert this correction and move higher. But that's something to watch for maybe between here and next stream. The metals, the metals looks like silver wants to continue to move higher and make all time highs. I'm sure a lot of the pundits and people are gonna or say this is a result of the uncertainty in the war and that gold and stuff always goes up during these times. Gold and silver. XAU, let's see, gold too. Gold looks even more bullish. Looks like in my head straight to all time high. So gold holders are happy here, and yeah, good stuff. Let me go ahead and check the chat really quick. Yo, what's good? Oh, what's up? What's up, Andre? What's up, Katsu? Lucky, what's up, brother? Hey, what's up, Diamond Pug? Everybody, go ahead and follow my boy Diamond Pug. Somebody who I have has become a good friend of mine over the last few months. Actually, meeting up with him for the first time tomorrow, which will be cool. I suggest everybody, if you can at all possible, especially if there's people in your area. Him and I are meeting up kind of in a different state, but if you are all, especially in your area, do definitely meet up with people on Web3 or crypto. It's yeah, it's insane knowing people online for a bit, talking, and then meeting in person. It's it's definitely cool. I definitely suggest it if you can. Um, but definitely shoot him a follow. I was gonna say because he's starting to post some content on here. He had this Netflix call. What was this on the 22nd? About a month ago, talking about this box and how the stock, you know, just crazy down. What was it? 30-40% Netflix, something that people use every day. Great kind of thesis here that I agreed with. And look at it now. We're up about, what is it, 20-30%. And even if it were to come down one more time, I think this does show that this is a very likely corrective behavior and points to probably a bottom here for Netflix in the coming months. Let's go ahead and check it out. Oh yeah, gapped way fucking higher now. That's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. It is. What is this at now? Let's see. What is this at now? I can't even see. Wow, $96. Pug is printing now. But yeah, everybody should go ahead and shoot my boy a follow as well. He's starting to post more. Who else is hanging out? Ellie, what's up, brother? How you doing? See some homies on here. Juicy, what's good, bro? Hope you're doing well. Zig, met my boy Zig yesterday too. Um, some good homies. Khomeini is most likely dead. Like I don't see the war being dragged much longer. Yeah, dude, that would be incredible. Again, I saw Andrew Tate, and if you guys again, if you're just pulling up, we're just talking about Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, and how this structure here on Bitcoin is very likely. Um, and I know I made that post earlier talking about how I think Bitcoin could go back down to 50K. And don't get me wrong, I think again, if we do get this bounce here, and let's just say the stock market rolls over or something else that brings the market down one more time, I do think 50K is possible. But as far as the short term price action, I think what we're seeing from February 6th until now is a lot more reminiscent of April or some of these other bottoms, and even looks a lot tighter than what we saw here in November until January, which I thought could have very possibly have been a bottom as well. But the difference is this kind of was just floating sideways with just not really just floating sideways, reached that high, barely broken and came down. To me, I think this is a much clearer structure, which is a move up and a slow, choppy corrective channel. Which again, what this shows here in this instance is exhaustion. Okay. You see this choppy price behavior, and this is why I point these corrective channel structures out so often, is because it shows price exhaustion. It shows that very often that, yes, as you can see, prices kind of trending down, but there's these spurts of bullish candles in here. And what that often tells me is that it's kind of a coil. That's why I use the word coil up. It's kind of a coiled up spring to where, yeah, the coil is still going down, right? But as it goes further down, it it can only go down so much, right? The pressure builds up to where eventually the bullish price action takes back over. That's how I see these things play out, and that's why these choppy corrective chart structures are so telling. So kind of that's what I'm looking for Bitcoin. If it does give me a spike down, I will be longing ETH and probably Sol on those shorts down, and then holding to see if we do break back above these bounce highs. I'm sorry, these consolidation highs. If ETH does clear this 2100 consolidation high, it probably will be off to the races. I think you'll see everybody get super bullish again. You'll start to see everybody call for all-time highs. And then from there, we'll have to see how the macro stuff plays out to where is the stock market running. A lot of people think we are going to run over one more time because of macro conditions, unless there's some type of crisis. Was this enough of a crisis to kind of end the bear market? I don't know, but I'm just treating this exactly how I would any other correction. Part of this bear market is accumulate with dry powder, certain amount that I'm adding on fresh lows or equal lows like this, and I'll add and short and position myself to where if I think we're going to go lower later this year, I'll do that. But for the short term, I think short and long term especially, but short term is starting to show a picture where I think we are going to start challenging that 2100 high again. And if we are to break it, I think we go back above 26, 27, 2800, and potentially higher. So some Iranian friend says he is indeed dead. Okay, wow. Interesting. Very interesting. Uh who else is in here? Oh, what's good? But yeah, I just wanted to do a quick update on some charts, see what's up, kind of review some videos. Obviously, during these times, again, I hope everybody is safe. I hope everybody is safe. Hope everybody's family, anybody's affected. You have friends in Iran or Israel or any of these places that are affected. I hope everybody's safe. Again, I just find myself so blessed that I can be traveling right now and here talking to you guys on a fucking stream about these things we're talking about these things pertaining to markets, right? A lot of these other people don't have that luxury. They're um, worried about their homes getting taken out or their loved ones or whatever. So we're definitely blessed. And if that is you, then I hope everybody's safe, and I do hope the at least the military drone bombing part of it, stops soon. Let's go ahead and do some updates, see if there's anything in the timeline that we missed. Like I said, usually doing these streams Tuesdays and Fridays from my house with the mic and everything. My audio is a little shitty, but wanted to get on stream, talk some charts, talk about ETH, Bitcoin, Sol. Um, been doing the streams, probably averaging like 1.5 streams a week. They've definitely not been hitting every single one as of late. Been, like I said, doing some traveling, some other stuff, but going to continue to do the streams twice a week for the most part. Again, for the time being, this next week will definitely be Tuesdays and Fridays, and for all of March. So definitely look out for that. Going to be obviously last year we absolutely killed it on stream together, hitting most of the big plays that came around. You know, weeks or months before it was the obvious consensus with Pump Fun. Buying that all the way down before it made its huge first run. Pengu, same kind of thing. USDUC, SPX, White Whale was a huge one for us. We got an entry of, I think, got in at 3.5 mil. It fell to 1 mil and obviously ran all the way up to 200 mil. Was, a great play for us on the streams. The last few weeks have obviously not been very eventful overall, especially when the times that crypto is down and especially sideways. But, definitely turn on post notifications, follow if you haven't already, because we will be catching, God willing, a lot of other great plays, learning a lot throughout these streams together over the coming years. So I'm excited. Streaming on here on X, and eventually I'm looking to branch out to probably to Kick or Twitch. I gotta figure that out, but especially on my homies here on X that I've gotten to get to know over the last few years through the good and the bad times through the markets. It's one of the biggest blessings of my life. So appreciate everybody who's sitting on these streams here with me, hanging out. Again, if you're just hanging out here, let me know two things. One, where you're tuning in from, what part of the world, and then two, uh, what second question, like what you've been doing in the markets lately. Have you been buying, holding, kind of just waiting to see play out? You've been trading perps, meme coins, not been doing anything? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Now on the NFT side, how you liking normies? Okay, let's go ahead and look at some NFT stuff here in just a second. I'll go ahead and look at the normies. You really think USDUC can do more than 5x from 2 mil? Okay, so that's a good question. I'm glad you brought that up. So my thoughts, as you guys know, the last few years, I've been very bullish on the movement meme coins, right? Really, I just call them movement coins now. I think they've kind of separated themselves from most memes, right? We bought during the 2024 correction. We bought a bunch of those. We bought a bunch of them. We bought, SPX, Giga, Mog, ticker Bitcoin, did very well on them, in 2024, 10, 15, 20 X's on them. We bought them in again in April when they went 5 to 7X before Bitcoin topped out. Did very well on them. Now, where do we go from here for the movement memes? Right? Obviously, most people right now are either not paying attention to memes at all, it's just not the cool thing to talk about, or the general consensus amongst most people is that meme coins are dead, right? I don't think either of those things are necessarily true. I don't think they're going to end up being true, right? I think meme coins are going to, and when you say meme coins, again, that's very vague, right? I do think online two things are going to survive: on chain trading, where people are using pump fund, and these different programs and wallet watching and different things to trade low cap coins. Now, are they going to be meme coin, always called meme coins? Are they going to have a different name? Are they going to be mostly the AI coins again? Um, I think there's always going to be a different flavor of things that people are trading. That could be the AI stuff, but the on-chain trading stuff will survive. And then the other thing is movements. I think as the world becomes more digital, people are spending more time online. The loneliness epidemic and stuff is going up amongst young kids and stuff, young people and stuff. Online communities, specifically tokenized communities, I think have not even started their growth phase yet. With that being said, I think just like NFTs, 97, 98% of these meme coins are probably dead and never going to return. But those select few with movements in it that really still rolling with it, continuing to push, continuing to post, despite their coin being down 70, 80, 95%. Those few, maybe 5, 10, 15 of them, I think are going to bounce back and be multi-cycle coins. We're talking the SPX, the Gigas, probably the Mogs. I wrote a tweet on this, what I thought was a pretty banger tweet on this a few days ago about how if conditions were good in crypto, Mog would be a multi-billion-dollar coin right now. Obviously everybody, whether you're a 60-year-old on this stream or you're a 15-year-old, especially, you've seen probably this guy Clavicular or just people talking about looks maxing, whether it be through a meme or like seriously. And they use Mog as a term to essentially describe like looking better than somebody. Like, oh, I mogged all these people. Like I look better or more intimidating or whatever. Like you just look better, you stand out more than everybody else. Obviously, we know that Mog in the Mog community, is not just about looks. You're just like dominating. You fuck somebody up. You're just like you just get mogged. You know what I mean? But now it's become a very popular word amongst people like of all fucking shapes and sizes. Again, it's pretty incredible. And I was just saying, if conditions in crypto, we're good right now. I think Mog would be up there. With that being said, I don't think this looks maxing thing is going anywhere. I think the word Mog is way too catchy. It just encompasses way too many things. And with that being said, I do think when Bitcoin does bounce back here, that something like Mog, which has a clear community, a cult like community, a movement behind it that's lasted multiple years, survived through multiple 60, 70, 80, 90% corrections. I think Mog has a real shot. SPX has a shot. Pepe, obviously. Giga, Ticker Bitcoin. A few of these others I think are going to bounce back and probably become worldwide movements, as crazy as it sounds. So I just thought I'd address that. And I am still slowly adding to these Mog, Giga, SPX. Like I'm focusing on 4 or 5 of them that I have the most conviction in. But with that being said, Troll, stuff like that, that has a real movement behind them, I think are going to last the test of time. So, Mr. Empathetic, though, to answer your question, sorry, I know I went on a rant. Do you think USDC can 5x from here? I think USDUC has a shot at surviving too, even though it's at 2 mil, because there's still strong team, still core team behind it, super mimetic, high ceiling, all that good stuff. So, yes, USDUC, I don't put it up there on the same like surefire pedestal as SPX or something like that, or Mog, but I think USDUC has a good shot at bouncing back. If I need a mod for kick, I'm your guy. I appreciate that, Casey. I'll write your name down, bro. I overinvested on USD I was too bullish on 6 mil. Yeah, I feel you, man. Definitely got to be careful with the memes, and that's why I always talk about like definitely you know how I feel about the movement memes. I think they're all going to go crazy once they do bounce back, but you want to have most of your port in stuff that has a shot at or that is kind of in the that investor bucket, you know. Big KC says from Africa, and this isn't my first stream. Hell yeah, brother! I appreciate you for being here. Vnox says, Bren, do you remember? Do you remember what I asked on the last stream about a potential war that could happen and pull us back? Yes, I do remember that, brother. I do remember that. Yeah, you were spot on. Obviously, the Iran war has kind of been looming for a bit now. But yeah, I mean that's what ended up happening, right? So, but yeah, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get going here in a second. I just wanted to get some clips here for some chart stuff, get some updates on the charts. Like somebody said here on the stream earlier, I think there's a good shot that that this whole war with Iran type thing could resolve quickly, kind of like how it did with Venezuela, which could the market could definitely take as a bullish catalyst. And really, the levels to watch is that 2100 level. If we are able to clear above 2100 and see acceptance above that level, I think we do continue to push higher in shit push higher. If we are able to clear this 2100 level, I think we are able to push higher into those 24, 26, 2700 levels with that kind of final confirmation line in the sand being that red 200 moving average up at 3400 right now, which is obviously way above price right now. But yeah, short and long term, extremely fucking bullish on crypto. I think if we were to act as this bottom, clear 2100, I think not a lot of structure all the way back until about 32, 3300. And if we are able to explode up here, you know, I think there's a shot that we could go back towards the 34s, 35s, and potentially even back to all time highs. So I would potentially just be accumulating, buying Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, studying, learning as if the bull market starts tomorrow while deploying the same patience, deploying the patience to where maybe this takes 3, 6, 9 months. I don't know about you. I plan on still being here in life and in crypto, especially like 3, 6, 9 months from now. Obviously, not the most ideal circumstance, but for a lot of us, it is. For a lot of us, it may be the time that you need to actually start accumulating that capital that you had. It's I think this is time is boring, but it actually gives a lot of people time to catch up and maybe gives them another shot to really get back into crypto if they lost everything or they didn't have the capital last time. Like if you're a young kid, especially you're 18, 19, 21, 22, under 25 years old, really any age, don't be afraid to like go get another job or take some hours at work. I know everybody has different situations, right? Like, but that's what I did in my first bull market. Like I worked another shitty job, two shitty jobs, with the end goal of like I want to take this trading thing seriously, where I can eventually make a lot of money or go full time with it. And it took me a long time. Like I remember I was thinking that when I was 19, I didn't go full time with crypto until I was like 25, 26, something like that. So it's a process, but I mean, dude, I think even though AI is popping right now, I think crypto is going to continue to be a probably the best opportunity out there to go from a little bit of money to really get your jump start in life, not by just gambling and doing scammy shit, but by actually locking in, learning a skill, investing, learning, about this different stuff, whether it be charts or wallet watching or on-chain stuff or investing or whatever it may be. I still don't. I still think it's right up there, with like the best shot to quote unquote make it. It just doesn't seem like that during these times. But every time I invested, especially learned, especially everybody who's on these streams right now, I appreciate you. Tuesdays and Fridays, like I said, definitely check out the Boss Man Calls Telegram channel for other education and stuff. Um, but with that being said, pick two, three, five creators on throughout the different platforms, YouTube, Telegram, X. Learn everything you can from them, interviews, all that stuff, and just use this time to learn. That's the biggest thing, because it's not just about making money. If you build those skills, you can print forever. You know what I mean? Or as long as these markets are around. So, oh, by the way, yeah, let's look at some NFTs. Though I do want to look at the NFTs. Um, Kind of a slow week overall for the NFTs too. It seems, unless there's some bigger catalyst, that NFTs are usually quiet around these times as well. I actually haven't checked the floor prices. Um, I don't know why this is lagging so hard. Connection still good? We're still good. Okay. Am I still holding my Grockies bag? I've taken about 60% profit out of it, but I'm still holding some. Yes. Um, why is this taking so long? Okay. Do I have my VPN on? I think I do. Okay. That's probably why. All right. Yeah. So NFT markets, yeah, kind of prices are kind of down and sideways, right? This is Solana. Oh, Magic Eden this week. Talk about that. Magic Eden put out this tweet last week, pretty much talking about how they're dropping all of the Bitcoin ordinals and EVM, essentially ETH NFTs, from the platform. So essentially, they're going to be focusing on their gambling platform, Solana NFTs, and using their token for other things. So a lot of controversy around this. I don't know if you guys have any opinions on this. Usually, or really for the last year, I've been going kind of um, all OpenSea for the most part. So for the longest time, I was using mostly Magic Eden. I thought for a while it kind of was the best place to look at NFTs. But yeah, I think everybody probably will start using OpenSea for the most part for ETH NFTs, as well as whatever else. Thought that was interesting. But as far as prices, we're not seeing too much movement on the majors. We are seeing meta winners up 14%. Other than that, pretty sideways. I think NFTs are the next kind of frontier for collecting. Longer term, I think a lot of these are going to be very, very, very important, or at least a few of these. Obviously, you know how I feel about the VeeFriends. I think is super slept on. Still, you got the Quirkies creeping up. Shout out to Poppy, like I said, creeping up into the 1 ETH range. Absolutely beautiful. I remember seeing them at point 0.3, point 0.4 not too long ago. Just continuing to build through the bear again, showing that it's all about the operator at the end of the day. Nakamigos, 0.12. Um, I do want to go ahead and look at the what's it called? The normies. They're on Magic Eden, right? Yes. So this is a cool project that's I'm learning about. Is this the same one? Why does it not show the thing? That I'm learning about recently, which I think is pretty cool, which is the normies. I need to learn more about exactly what it is, how it works, but I've been seeing a ton of it out there. I think what the pictures like, is it regenerative, or like the pictures like change, or I need to learn exactly about it, but I've been seeing this everywhere. I'm gonna spend today to take 30 minutes an hour to learn what I can about it. But seeing a lot of my friends and stuff talk about it, I know this guy Cirque is the guy behind it. But yeah, I think these are pretty cool looking, and I think it's a Ella Tomo. If you want to tell us in the chat, bro, a little bit that I can read out, but I think this is going to show. I think my boy Jaden actually pointed out the other day that NFT volume or NFT supply is actually going up pretty quickly. We're seeing a lot of oops, we're seeing a lot of where'd it go? He made a good tweet. NFT supply is up 1,500% in the last 3 months. The NFT market cap went from 1.5 to 3.8, then cooled back to 2.2. In the same window, ETH is down 40%. So NFTs have been pushing upstream into a headwind. It's just going to show that NFT activations or NFT mints and stuff are up, showing that the industry is not dead, that more and more projects are actually creating new projects. So this normie one I need to look more into, but I think it's going to show that more NFT projects are popping up slow over time and that the industry is not dead, in fact. But yeah, I think VeeFriends, if you're looking at NFTs, collectibles, digital collectibles, I'd be looking at the VeeFriends right now, especially the Series 2. I'm telling you, there's going to come a time in a couple years from now where NFTs in general, and especially the VeeFriends, are you're going to see them where they're like, oh, these things are at what price? 0.2, 0.3, 0.5, and the VeeFriends IP is like way bigger than it is now. And you're going to be like, damn, I wish I would have bought some. I think, or at least that's the way I view it. Not a financial advice, any of that. I think it just goes to show that, especially with NFTs, people are like even scared to buy crypto right now. NFTs are so far down the risk curve that most people really won't pay attention until like things are moving again. But yeah. Oh, you already read that. Magic Eating doing a bad move, in my opinion, especially with, yeah, definitely crazy. You can burn normies to edit it. Okay, so you can burn one to edit another one. So essentially, you burn, like the cooler it looks. So that's really fucking sick. Um, but yes, with that being said, guys, I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me on Saturday. Like I said, usually do Tuesdays and Fridays, so I didn't even make an announcement about it, so it's kind of out of out of nowhere. So I appreciate everybody hanging out. We'll be back on Tuesday, like I said, with my boy Poppy um, from Quirkies. We'll be talking the markets. We'll be talking, have an update. Probably maybe some stuff has happened since then. Between here and now, as far as the war and stuff, we'll be talking about Quirkies, where he sees NFTs heading to where our digital collectibles worth it to collect or to think about in 2026, and a lot of other cool stuff. If you guys could like, comment, retweet, share, follow if you haven't already, obviously. Check out the Boss Man Calls Telegram channel. Lots of good stuff in there throughout this time, staying super consistent, giveaways, all of that cool stuff. So, with that being said, I hope everybody has a great rest of your week, and I will see you on Tuesday. Be safe.